YouTube, how are you now? We are on Modern Warfare 2019. It has been a very long time since I've played this game, but thought I'd come back to it after all this time to see how it is, because at the time it had some of the best gunplay in my opinion. Whoa, 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 whoa. I think I need to adjust my settings here. Let's see. I don't make sure my sensitivities, right? That's about right. Weird. Just feels really weird. Oh, it's auto sprint too. Auto attack sprint. I forgot about that. Give me like not the right field of view or what? No, I do. Weird. Just feels really weird. But anyway, like I was saying, it has the best gunplay at the time. So figured I'd check that. Battlefield's gun. Oh. I've added some guns since last time I played this Evo Scorpion and then this LMG. Just have the base versions on right now, let's just see how they are. Yep. Is that a bullet? Okay. Definitely have to relearn how to play this game. Field upgrades and all that stuff. And then with Modern Warfare 2 coming out pretty soon, figured I'd come back, see how it was. I think the guns in this game are some of the best, like the look, the sound, and feel of the guns is really good. Warzone not so much, since your gun is suppressed so you lose the punch of the sound. Just try to make the gun as much of a low recoil, long distance, which kind of gets rid of the variety of it. Part of the appeal. Doesn't just automatically do it. Definitely feels very different compared to playing Battlefield for a while. Gotta get used to the auto run. I don't know if I want to take that off or not. It feels really weird. Auto sprint. It's what I had before. That was primarily for work. Like multiplayer. Turn that off. Oh, where is it? slow sprint. Move forward. Otherwise you gotta press it twice, so I guess I'll leave it alone. Yeah, I definitely like the more modern, realistic look and feel of real guns. I heard somebody right there. It's just everything else about the game I didn't like. The matchmaking, camping and all that. Built that intention. Well, Ground War was pretty fun. I didn't play much multiplayer because of the hidden skill matching and stuff, but Ground War didn't really have that strict skill matching. So I didn't really play any multiplayer. And then Warzone got old really fast. Maybe I should put some patches on this gun. I don't even know what's good. GI, what we got? Low flash concealment, suppressor, recoil. Control, recoil, stabilization. I think you want stabilization, right? Barrel. Going for speed, I guess. Nope, you can't put a grip on it that way, so how you get rid of control, accuracy. 50 round drums versus 30 rounds. Let's go with that. ADS speed. What should I get rid of then? That. Trying to make it fast. Okay. Let's see how much of a difference. Oh, that thing is short. I made it tiny, but that makes it fast, so. Oh. Hey! Not a bad version. Oh, took forever to reload. Thought it was ready. It were not. Yikes. It'll take some getting used to. The controls just feel off or something. Oh, you're still alive. Smoked. Not about stretch the range there. I think I set it to 50, but I turned off kill streaks and all that stuff too. So just wanted to try out the gunplay again, see how it was.
We're winning this. Keep it tight.
Still pretty good. Not as groundbreaking as I remember, but still pretty good. Not hit at all. No. Can't run long enough. Didn't even see you. Oh, thought I saw somebody right there. I did not. My eyes deceive me.
That gave him something to think about. Good work.
That's a pretty fun little gun. Yeah, I was just playing a custom game, free for all against bots. Just try out that new gun, see how it is, see how the gunplay felt. It's pretty good. But, like I said, the matchmaking and all that stuff ruined it for me, so I didn't really play a whole lot of multiplayer. Majority of the time was spent in Ground War and then just waiting for Warzone, and then Warzone came out and that got old pretty quick too since the hidden skill matching was there as well. But I'm still cautiously optimistic about Modern Warfare 2 because they are putting a pretty heavy emphasis on bots. So like the new Warzone experience is supposed to be like 100 players and they're testing it with like 300 bots. So it's going to be more of like a PvP, VE type thing, like the extraction shooters these days are going for, and then they have the supposed DMZ mode as well. That's an extraction shooter type thing too, like Escape from Tarkov, Psycho Frontier, Hunt Showdown, those types of games. So those could be good, but hopefully the emphasis on bots means they're going to move away from strict skill matching, at least in those game modes. Probably not in regular multiplayer, but if that's the case, I probably won't play any regular multiplayer. But then they have like the battle maps as well that are designed specifically for the bigger game modes like Ground War. So as long as they don't have the strict skill matching there, I'll probably play some of that, check it out. But we'll have to wait and see. Definitely not going to pre-order, probably not even going to buy it on release, just going to wait and see what they actually do with the game, because promises these days from these type of companies don't mean anything. So wait for the game to release, see what people say about it, see what actually is in the game, and then go from there. But definitely cautiously optimistic. So I do like the modern, more realistic approach. I do like the gunplay, the realistic, real guns, real world guns that sound, look, and feel like they do in real life. So I mean, the attention to detail in this game is actually really good. Like the animations and all that kind of stuff are top notch. So that's what I really liked about this game. I loved the gunplay, but I just didn't like anything else about it, you know. Those 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's unfortunate, that's usually the way things go. Groundbreaking game, but then they completely do a 180 on the core DNA of Call of Duty, you know. Call of Duty's always had skill matching to a degree, but it was pretty loose in previous games, whereas it was really strict in this game. Which goes against the whole DNA of Call of Duty, you know, because Call of Duty is meant to be a more casual, arcadey type shooter, not super competitive. The whole kill streak system is built around doing well in a game, but I mean, how are you supposed to do well in a game if everybody's around your skill level? Even good players, if they're always playing against other good players, they're only going to perform around average in general. So I mean, the whole kill streak system goes completely against that philosophy. Unless you want to try to camp it out and try to do that. But if you're playing normally and everybody's around the same skill, you're not going to be able to get those high kill streaks very often, you know. Just the core design decisions that they decided to go with completely went against everything Call of Duty used to be. I mean, that could be good, that could be bad, but in my opinion it was bad more than it was good. The whole safe space philosophy. It's like, it's a video game. It's an online multiplayer video game. There's no such thing as safe spaces, especially in the gameplay. I understand like wanting to create a more inviting environment as far as like toxic behaviors and speech and that kind of stuff, but the actual gameplay, no. Let people play how they want to play. Don't cater to one specific type of play style, especially if it means dumbing down the game. I mean, that's the main problem with games like this. If you're trying to cater to the lower skill majority, you're taking away a lot of what makes the game good, like that whole skill gap, the ability to make big plays and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what Call of Duty was built on. So I mean, taking that away just took away the whole spark. Like I said, I didn't play hardly any multiplayer at all. I would have actually quit the game like within the first week had it not been for Ground War. Ground War is the only thing that I played beyond that first week or two. I played some free for all, but not much of that either, because they had join in progress in that. It's like, why would you have join in progress in a game where you disband the lobbies after every game, especially in free for all? I would join games that are like almost over already. The first place had like 20 kills out of 30, and I would join the game at that moment. It's like, it didn't make any sense at all. Like, join in progress only makes sense if you have persistent lobbies that continue on, because then, yeah, you'll stay in the game because you'll go into the next game and it'll be fresh. It'll be a new game. But join in progress when you disband the lobby right after that makes literally no sense at all. Because a lot of times I would join in progress, the lobbies would disband, I'd join another game in progress, and it'd just be an endless cycle of never getting a full game. Like, you have to wait in matchmaking to not get into a full game, to get kicked out of that match afterwards, to go back into matchmaking to find another join in progress game. It just didn't make any sense at all. A lot of the things they did just contradicted good gameplay, you know? Like, yeah, it was built around skill matching, that kind of stuff. They wanted to disband the lobbies to readjust your skill and all that, but they shouldn't have had join in progress then. At least not games that are like halfway over to almost over. I'd join games that were over. Like I would join games in Ground War where the nuke was literally going off and we lost. I joined the game as the nuke was being set off and we lost. Makes sense. Only to be disbanded, go back into matchmaking again. So yeah, a lot of intentional decisions that ruin the gameplay. So hopefully that's not so much the case in Modern Warfare 2. From what I've heard, it's gonna be disbanding lobbies again. I mean, that's been the case since this game. But if that's the case, they need to cut back on the join in progress pretty considerably. Definitely not any games that are more than halfway over. But then at the same time, if people leave the game, it's going to have an empty game as well. So I mean, that's part of the problem as well. When you disband lobbies, people are going to quit if there's a bunch of kill streaks in the air. Because why would they stay in the game if they're just going to get kicked out when the game's over anyway? So they might as well leave the game and matchmake to find a new game, as opposed to sit in the game and just get dumped on by a bunch of kill streaks only to get kicked out of that game and have to matchmake again anyway. So when you really think about all the decisions they made, a lot of them really didn't make sense at all. A lot of them really hurt the core gameplay. But it was a successful game overall, simply because it was a return to the modern military, more realistic approach, which is what everybody wanted. So it would have sold really well no matter what, even if they hadn't made all those gameplay design decisions. I think it probably would have been more successful had they not made all those bad gameplay design decisions, but maybe not. Maybe it hooked all those casual players who hadn't played for a long time, or new players, and brought them in, which is good. But at the same time, it pushed a lot of core players away, like myself. So you want to try to do a little bit of both. You know, you can't make one or the other completely happy, but you should try to at least make both somewhat happy. Don't completely cater to one or the other, which is what they did in this game. They completely catered to the new and casual crowd at the full expense of the more veteran players. I mean, it worked for a time, but now look at Call of Duty. The last two games did pretty poorly, and Vanguard is like the worst performing Call of Duty of all time. So I mean, I think over time those design decisions really hurt the player base overall. It may not have shown right away in this game, but over time it definitely wore thin. So hopefully they've learned their lesson. Try to appease everybody without committing too much to one or the other, you know. Give something for everybody. So yeah, make it enjoyable, make it interesting for new players, casual players, to keep them hooked long enough. But don't completely abandon the veteran players either. Give them something to work towards too, you know. That would be the best approach, you know. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, even skill matching itself isn't such a terrible idea if it wasn't completely hidden. Like, it feels so manipulative and deceptive. Like, yeah, you want to protect those lower skill players, the casual players. You don't want to tell them they're bad. But at the same time, what about the better players who have to play in higher skill lobbies all the time and with nothing to show for it? I mean, they should have something to show for it. At least show them their skill ratings or some type of reward for having to play harder matches all the time. Like, if they have nothing to show for it, there's no reward for it, why would they want to play? Why be good at the game only to perform average with nothing to show for it? There's a reason competitive players play competitively in like competitions that pay money and show prestige. Like, nobody would want to play in those competitions if there was nothing to show for it. Why would you want to play against the best players and get dumped on, or not even perform very well, maybe win, but perform around average with nothing to show for it? There's a reason high skill play is rewarded with money, with prestige, with whatever. If you take all that away, there's no incentive to play at that higher level. People would rather play in average lobbies. Yeah. If you couldn't already tell, I don't like hidden skill matching. I never have. It's one of the biggest factors in games that I don't want to play anymore, ruining games that I may have liked before. Like Destiny 1, that was my favorite game of all time. It had pretty loose skill matching, hidden skill matching, but then when they implemented strict skill matching, it completely ruined the experience for me. Apex Legends, same way. Warzone, same way. This game, same way. The only game modes that I could stand playing were the games that didn't have strict skill matching, like Ground War. So, if you don't see your improvement as a player, you can't perform well. Even if you've gotten good at the game, you put the time in, mastered the game, you still can't perform well if you're always playing against players at your skill level. So even if you get better, the competition gets better with you. So I mean, you're always stuck at about an average performance, and that's the point of skill matching. It's meant to keep you at a 50% win rate and a 1 KD. In an ideal world where skill matching worked perfectly, everybody would be 50% win rate, 1 KD. So if that's the case, you definitely need to show the MMR. You need to show the skill ratings. Otherwise, everybody's the same. Even the best players in the world will have the same stats as the worst players in the world, with nothing to distinguish them between them. Which makes literally no sense in a competitive multiplayer environment. Why be competitive? Why play competitively if there's literally nothing to show for it? There's nothing to distinguish between skill levels. It goes against the very grain of competitive multiplayer. It's participation multiplayer. And then team balancing as well. Team balancing is pretty bad even in games that don't have strict skill matching. This Battlefield 2042 doesn't really have strict skill matching, but they do have team balancing. And the goal of team balancing is try to make the teams as evenly matched as possible, so try to make it a 50-50 toss-up who wins, who loses. But when there's drastic variations in skill level, that doesn't work, because then if you have one really good player against a majority average players, they're going to put the worst players on that really good players team to try to even things out. But in games that are heavily team focused, or games that aren't large teams, that means that good player is going to have to literally do everything to carry for even a chance at winning, because it's 50-50. So unless that good player does exceptionally well, there's no chance of winning. And then the bad players who are stuck on that good player's team are going to be playing against an entire team who are better than them. Doesn't make sense at all. Team balancing would make the most sense if they did like a schoolyard pick type thing, where they tried to split the best players, try to split the worst players, and then try to split the average players as well. So there's a mix of every type of skill level on both teams. It may not be 50-50 win potential, but at least it's not going to be a blowout. It shouldn't be a blowout, but I mean, obviously that's not always possible either if there's not an even distribution between both teams. So if there's like a really, really good player and then a bunch of average players, that doesn't really work, you know? You'd have to put some of the better players on the other team to try to counteract that good player, but at what cost, you know? So then that ends up being the same thing as putting all the worst players on the good player team and then everybody else on the other team, and then the good player has to carry and the bad players can't do anything. So it's best to just do the schoolyard pick style thing, even if there are a big discrepancy between the first the best player and the second best player. That best player's team is probably going to win, but I mean, it shouldn't be a blowout unless it's like the best player in the world versus all average players, then maybe. I don't know. I don't think team balancing should try to go for a 50-50 win rate. It should just try to prevent blowouts as much as possible. So it doesn't have to be the closest game in the world as long as it's not a complete curb stomp. Because I mean, team balancing a lot of the times results in complete blowouts. Look at Battlefield 2042. Games are rarely ever close. They're usually steamrolls one way or the other. Either we steamroll or we get steamrolled. There's hardly ever a balanced game that's close. And they're actually trying to balance the teams. They're trying to make it 50-50 as close as possible. So obviously that doesn't work. It never has really worked. So when you try to just go for that 50-50. Just do the schoolyard pick. It's not always going to be a close game, but it shouldn't be a blowout at least. And it's a lot more fun that way. Then everybody should be able to at least do something, you know. The good player doesn't have to completely carry. The bad players don't have to completely just get stomped on all the time. There's a good mix of everybody on every team. Everybody can evenly match against at least somebody on the other team. At least close. Doesn't have to be exact skill to skill, but at least in the general idea, general range. That would be the best. And then just matchmake based on connection, you know. I mean, you can have some skill matching to a degree. Like they've always had the loose skill matching that protects the lower skill bracket, the new players. So they have at least a window of time to get accustomed to the game without just getting thrown into the mix with the average majority. But beyond that, it should only be connection based, because I mean skill matching affects connections as well. Like when you're on the extremes of the bell curve, your connections suffer, and it's obvious. That should never be the case. Connection quality is the most important thing in first-person shooters, competitive first-person shooters. That's the biggest thing that affects your gameplay experience, your connection. If your connection is bad, your gameplay experience is going to be bad. But yeah, that turned into quite a rant there. I really do hope that Modern Warfare 2 does move away from the strict skill matching. At least in some game modes. It doesn't have to be every game mode, but at least some game modes, so that I have something to play that I can enjoy without having to try my hardest just to perform average, you know. I shouldn't have to play at my best at the highest level possible for a 50-50 win rate 1 KD. That just doesn't make sense at all. There's no reason for that. There's above average lobbies. Higher skill lobbies are nothing like average lobbies. They're nothing like the average majority, where you can run whatever guns you want, you can play however you want, and you can still do okay. High skill lobbies, you have to run the best guns, you have to run the best classes, you have to play your hardest, otherwise you're just going to get dumped on constantly. That's not fun. Call of Duty is about variety, you know. A lot of the skins, a lot of the unlocks, a lot of the challenges are based around weird playstyles, you know, using off-meta guns, off-meta playstyles. And that's part of the fun, just goofing around with different things, not having to perform like you're in an MLG tournament all the time. Play games to relax, to have fun, you know. I don't want to have to put on my try-hard pants literally every time I log on to play a game. You know, I don't always play for the win either, you know. I play for kills, I play aggressive. It doesn't have to be KD for wins and all that, you know. I'll play aggressive, I'll risk it for the biscuit. I'll put myself in bad situations just to go for more kills, you know. That's hard to do when it's high skill lobbies. You'll just get yoinked constantly by people holding angles, holding corners, hiding in buildings. 3 or 4 enemies in a building watching each other's corners. That's not fun to play like that. Especially if they're all at your skill level, you don't stand a chance. Against average lobbies, maybe you might be able to get a couple, maybe even get the whole group, but if they're all your skill level, you're just going to get beamed by 3 or 4 players at your skill level. So I mean, that promotes that more campy playstyle. And some people like playing like that. I mean, there are tactical games that promote that kind of playstyle, but Call of Duty is not really known for that, you know. I don't play Call of Duty to play super tactical, slow, strategic. I play it just to run around and shoot stuff. Can't really do that when it's strict skill matching. But yeah, only time will tell what they actually decide to do with Modern Warfare 2. Like I said, I'm not going to pre-order, I'm not going to buy it on launch. I'm going to wait till they release it, see what they actually did with the game based off people who play it, and then decide from there. I really do hope they have at least a few modes where skill matching is not super strict, or they at least show your skill rating if they're going to match by skill. So if you're a higher skill player and you're forced to perform around average all the time, at least you have something to show for it, you know, a higher MMR, a higher skill rating, whatever. Something to grind for, something to show improvement if you're getting better at the game, you know. But we'll see. Yeah. Thanks for watching yet again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.